Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast. This is episode 65 and our last preseason show, I guess. It is October 1st right now. You'll be listening to this on October 2nd. We're recording on a Saturday because I am golfing tomorrow morning. But anyway, so what we're going to do in this episode for the most part is we're going to go over some of our predictions and discuss those and quite obviously argue about them. So without further ado, is there anything else you wanted to get to before we started doing these?
The Habs signed Jake Allen to a 2-year extension this morning. 4.4 the first year, 3.3 the second year. I think it's a totally fine contract.
Yeah, and on that note, Rasmus Sandin signed the original contract that he was offered during the summer. So that was the stupidest and most useless holdout in maybe NHL history, to be completely honest.
He held out until, 3 Leafs defensemen got injured?
Yeah, and then basically him and his agent said they didn't want to use that, teammates being injured as leverage for a contract signing. So they just signed the deal, which is identical to the one Timothy Liljegren got. So that was quite interesting to me, that whole scenario. Yeah. And now he's just missed out on 2 or 3 weeks of camp, and it's just ridiculous.
For no reason.
Didn't get any extra money at all. Just ridiculous. So
anyway. Was 1 year or 2?
2.
Okay.
2.8, 1.4.
So he didn't get any, he got no term, that's all right.
2 years at 1.4. So anyway, without further ado, because I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about other than that. If there is, we can get to it later. I kind of want to get to the both Leafs goaltenders tossing up 40-minute shutouts. So kind of happy about it.
It's preseason, but I'll let you have it.
Anyway, without further ado, Gitano, your Hart Trophy winner this year. Let's preface this by saying Austin Matthews did win it last year.
It's just so hard to not say Connor McDavid. It's and I think it'll be. I don't even want to say it'll be close because wasn't Matthews almost the unanimous winner?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I struggle to not put Connor McDavid for that.
Yeah.
And it's between him and Matthews. I don't think maybe Cale Makar. That'll realistically be the top 3. I think 1-2 will be McDavid Matthews in whatever order. So I just want McDavid to kind of rally you up a little bit, and I don't want to put Austin Matthews on my list.
Yeah. So obviously I have Matthews there. And I don't see a reason for him to slow down on the success that he carried last season. He missed 10 games last year and he still put up 60. So what's possible if he doesn't? 65, 70? What's happening? He's only going to get better. Especially the year before he's able to sign that big deal, right? He seems like the type of guy who's not going to crumble under pressure. He's going to put up some numbers this year, I think. So I think that's why I have him for my Hart champion.
I can't really argue with that.
I love McDavid to pieces. I think he's the best player in the world. We all know that. But yeah, Matthews is going to win again this year, and he's going to cement himself as right there with him, because that would be his second Hart in a row. Yeah. Art Ross, I have McDavid, and it's because nobody even comes close to him in points other than maybe Draisaitl.
Yeah, and I also have McDavid for the exact same reason.
It's just every year, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's good for 120, 130. And maybe this might be the year where he says, fuck it, I'm putting up 160, 170. Then, and he can do that. He's going to take it to another level one of these years. I'm willing to bet it could be this one. Rocket, I have Matthews. Any other answer here is absolutely blasphemous. Absolutely outrageous.
Sorry about Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, anybody but Austin Matthews is going to score the most goals in the NHL this year. He is head and shoulders above the rest of the league when it comes to putting the puck in the back of the net.
Okay. So my thing with Ovi is, I think I mentioned this at the end of last year when we were going over our preseason predictions from last season, is every year they go, okay, Ovechkin he's going to slow down now. He's getting old. He's not going to hit 50. He's going to get 35, 40. And every year he fucking scores 50. So I think he's doing it again, and I think he's going to win it. I think.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is I don't disagree with you. Like I completely agree. Alex Ovechkin's probably going to score 50 this year.
Yeah.
But
You just think Matthews is going to score more?
I think Matthews is probably going to be in the 63, 64, 65 range. Like that's my honest prediction for him. And on an 82 game pace, that's actually taking a step back from last year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it is the different ways that he scores goals, the power play options, the single-handed efforts, the skating, the slap shot, the snap shot, the hands. He's just, when it comes to the job of putting the puck in the back of the net, there's nobody better. Moving on. This is kind of interesting. I kind of want to spend some time on this one here, the Calder.
Yeah.
So
this one, this is the first one of our list that really, like, I had to like look into it and I had to like really assess the options, because the other three to me have been pretty straightforward.
Yes, you're right, pretty straightforward. And there's going to be other ones that are quite straightforward as well.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's a year where there's, like, let's be honest, last year's draft was not very strong. It wasn't. No, it was not. And most of the people that have the betting odds in their favor to win the Calder this year are like guys who took a year off and didn't play last year. You know, first rounders from last year, guys like Beniers, Kent Johnson, Owen Power.
Yeah, the guys who kind of who played the last like 10, 15 games of last season at the end of their college or OHL or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing a lot of here. I actually, when we get to our hot takes later, we'll talk about this. But first overall pick, Juraj Slafkovsky, as well as Shane Wright, were tied for only 10th overall in odds to win the Calder. There were 9 guys ahead of Shane Wright and Juraj Slafkovsky who are tied with plus 2,000 odds to win the trophy this year. To me, that's crazy. I can't remember a year where that was the case, other than maybe last year. But Owen Power didn't even play. Like, nobody that was drafted in the first round really played in the league last year, like you said, until the last 10, 15 games of the year, right? So
you basically have 2 draft classes for one Calder at this point.
Yes, and odds are one of the older players is going to succeed, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it works. They're a year more developed. They're a year more experienced. They maybe even had a little bit of, like you said, 10, 15 games of NHL experience last year, which is a big deal.
It is. It's huge.
So here I had Owen Power, but I think your McTavish pick is good. I don't know if Beniers is going to show a whole lot this year, especially because he's going to be on the same team as Shane Wright, who I think is going to take a lot of that attention.
See, that's kind of one of my thoughts with Beniers, was that, like, he's not going to be like the star guy, so he's just going to be able to, you know, there's going to be less of a spotlight on him compared to Shane Wright, and he might just, you know, it might give him that extra bit of room to work with.
I see what you're saying, but these are all media-driven awards, and if Shane Wright's going to be the star, then he's going to win the Calder, right?
Well, one of the things, he might not be, if he doesn't perform, he won't be the star, though. You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't, would be. Yeah, I still think the media story would be Shane Wright isn't the star more than Beniers is the star. You know what I mean? Because the media doesn't like a good story. They want to be negative because they're assholes
all the time. Trust me, I'm a Toronto fan. I know. So yeah, I had Owen Power here. I think Buffalo's kind of sneaky, not good. They're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but Buffalo's going to be a sneaky team this year. I think they're going to take some games away from teams that are not expecting it. I really do, and I think Owen Power is probably going to be a decent part of that.
Yeah, I don't hate your shout. I went with McTavish just because in Anaheim they've got that kind of young core, and they seem to be getting the best out of them very early. Like Zegras, fucking last year was phenomenal. I just think it's a great environment for him to like be playing in. I think he's going to thrive in it. Yeah,
I like that. I do like that, and obviously we've seen how good he was for Canada at so many tournaments in his life already, right? So name recognition as well. Moving on to Vezina, who I think we both were thinking the same thing here. I'm never going to bet against Andre Vasilevsky again.
Never.
So I don't know. I know it's not a good thing to make jokes about, but you saw the hurricane that they had in Florida there.
Yeah.
So I saw some guy ran out of boards to board up his house, so he just stuck a Vasilevsky jersey across the front of it, like across his doorway, and then tweeted that picture and said he stops everything else. So,
I mean, hopefully Buddy is all right, and they got out safe and everything. But
I'm glad he had a sense of humor.
Exactly, like
yeah.
But yeah, Vasilevsky should easily win the Vezina.
Well, but then now there is competition in the league now. You have Shesterkin, who was the Vezina champion last year, right? And Shesterkin was very, very good last year. He carried that team to the playoffs and for a reasonable run for what they had.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't count them out completely, but yes, I'm not ever gonna bet against Andrei Vasilevsky until he proves to me that I should. Until he has that stinker year, I'm not gonna pick anybody else.
Yeah, but here's the thing: does he have more than 5-6 stinker games in a whole season?
That's what I mean. Until that time comes when he is not what he is right now, then I'm gonna pick him to win the Vezina every year. Norris, pretty straightforward.
I was gonna say it's basically that we just replace Vasilevsky with Makar and Vezina with Norris, and it's the same conversation.
Yeah, I think it's very likely that Cale Makar takes another step this year. They say that you need at least, I think it's 250 games in the NHL as a defenseman before you really turn into what you're gonna be. So,
and if he's not already what he's going to be, then the rest of the league is fucked.
Yeah, it's doomed. Exactly.
He could be a fucking 120 point defenseman who is also legitimately the best defenseman in the league.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. He's just the speed, the hands, the sense, the quick thinking. It's unbelievable. So yeah, Cale Makar, probably the unanimous Norris favorite moving into this season. I think everybody would agree with that.
I think there's going to be a couple shouts for Roman Josi, Adam Fox, Victor Hedman, but I'm a huge Victor Hedman fan.
Low-key shout to another New York Rangers defenseman, K-Andre Miller, who I think is going to develop into a fantastic young defenseman as well. Not to Cale Makar levels, but he's just a monster.
I was going to say, he's not maybe in the Norris conversation yet, but I can definitely see it happening in the next couple of years.
If I had to pick a dark horse for this award, that's who it would be.
Yeah, 100%.
Let me put it to you that way. Yeah, so moving next one, Selke, and if you're not picking Bergeron, you don't know what's up. We've done this same conversation for the past 15 years, so I don't even think we need to have it again. Cup champions. I wanted to break this down into a couple things. I thought about this while we were breaking down other awards. So you have Tampa winning the Cup. I have the Leafs winning the Cup. Now let's break it down. Who's going to win each conference? Who's going to win the West? Because those are both Eastern Conference teams. So let's go West. Let's go West. Let's see. Who do you think wins there?
So I think we are going back-to-back Tampa, Colorado finals. We should. They are the two best teams in the league. Both of them have had good off seasons. They've not they've made major additions, but they haven't had any major losses. I don't think other teams in the league have taken that next step up to where they are. So I foresee a Colorado Tampa final again, and I'm gonna have Tampa winning on this one because I'm not betting against Andrei Vasilevsky.
Okay, well, I disagree with you. I think Tampa takes a step back this year. They've just played way too much hockey. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they even end up in the Eastern Conference final, to be completely honest with you. I think they do have weapons. Obviously, we know the Braden Points of the world. Nikita Kucherov is somehow underrated. Steven Stamkos is Steven Stamkos, and you mentioned Vasilevsky, Hedman. These are all weapons. But you can only compete for so long in a salary cap era. And I don't believe that they have the capability to keep it up. I just don't. I think they're probably a first or second round exit in these playoffs. I, of course, have the Toronto Maple Leafs winning the Eastern Conference because that's what we in Leaf Nation do. But out of the West, I don't have Colorado. I have Colorado in the Eastern Conference final. I have the same Eastern Conference or Western Conference final. My apologies. That we had when the playoffs started last year, and that's Calgary and and Colorado,
So
but I have Calgary winning this time.
You think this year's Calgary team is better than last year's Calgary team?
I do believe this year's Calgary team is better than last year's Calgary team. And hold on just 1 second. One of the biggest factors here is Jacob Markstrom in that series against the Edmonton Oilers played the worst week of hockey in his entire life.
No, 100%. 100%.
The worst. Like, he was pitiful. He had like an 8.5 save percentage. It was absolutely embarrassing. Like, it was awful. It was embarrassing. Like, just unbelievably bad. And I don't think that's going to happen again. I just don't. And I think Calgary gives Colorado a bigger run for their money than Edmonton did in that Western Conference final last year. I think
almost anyone would have given them a better run than Edmonton.
Well, it was 4-0, so yeah. But I think the Oilers are pretenders, and we'll get to that a little bit later in our hot take section.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think Calgary is better this year than they were last year. I love the addition of Weegar. I think that's a huge addition for them and a very underrated one considering what's happened up front with Huberdeau and Kadri both signing there long term. I think
so you think their
Chuck could have been bad.
I was just about to say, so you think the addition of Huberdeau and Kadri kind of makes up for losing Tkachuk?
And Gaudreau, yes, I do. Because you also added Weegar, which is a huge deal. Huge.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So let me put it this way. Let's just, if they keep Tkachuk and Gaudreau and just make a trade to acquire Weegar, you're still thinking this team is better than that?
Almost, yeah.
All right.
Like, I to me, Kadri had more points than Tkachuk did last year, and he plays the same way. In your face, annoying hockey. Let's call it what it is.
Yep.
Jonathan Huberdeau. And and by the way, Nazem Kadri's a centerman, which is more valuable, right? We can agree on that. Centermen are more valuable than wingers. Well, if you want to just talk about points last year, Jonathan Huberdeau had more points than Johnny Gaudreau did, and they almost cancel each other out if you really think about it. Huberdeau may have a little bit of a different skill set, and I honestly think his skill set probably lasts longer. Like Johnny Gaudreau relies on being young, in my opinion, where Jonathan Huberdeau relies on the ability to see the ice and make plays, which is something you can carry a lot longer into your career.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's actually a good move long term for them too, because they would have had to sign Gaudreau to a long term deal as well. Huberdeau is a little bit older. Don't get me wrong, but I think that was kind of canceling. Those kind of cancel each other out. I would say Kadri's better than Tkachuk. I'd rather have Kadri on my team than Tkachuk at this point.
I think it depends. Long term, I would take Tkachuk because he's younger, obviously. But if we're doing like a one-off, I might lean Kadri.
And then you add Weegar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Calgary's better than they were last year, and I think they did a really good job with what could have been a really, really bad situation.
Oh, for sure.
It could have been ugly. Like, it could have been really, really bad.
Like, it could have went from contenders to complete rebuild in a matter of weeks. Like, that was...
Yeah. And I'm forgetting their GM's name right now. What's his name? He's the son of the guy who owns Boston Pizza.
Is it Treliving?
Treliving, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brad Treliving. And he did an unbelievable job. So, that's who I have for... the Stanley Cup final is Leafs Flames, and I think the Leafs take it.
All Canadian matchup. I do like that. I respect that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're gonna run it back. Colorado, Tampa with the win, and I'm gonna have Andrei Vasilevsky winning the Conn Smythe.
I have William Nylander, who always turns it up come playoff time. Always turns it up come times that he needs to.
All 5-6 games they play, eh?
Yes, and he's been our best player in like 2 straight years. But regardless, hold on a second here. The big thing about William Nylander is this man has put on like more weight coming into this season, and he was already a thick boy. All right, and now this guy's coming in, and he's played more body in this preseason than he did all of last year, like all of last year, and in the preseason. So I think that is just going to help his game, the ability to throw his weight around a little
Now,
bit, to have a little more weight.
can I ask about this though? So remember when the Leafs were eliminated, he went to wherever for the Worlds and was throwing the body around. I brought it up and I asked, I was like, is this a new William Nylander? And you said, no, it's because he's playing against you guys for a shit, so he can do that. Do you think that might be the same in preseason, or he's not playing like a full NHL roster, or he's
I think he's bigger.
All right.
I think he's bigger. That's it. Like, I think it's that simple. But I have him scoring 40 goals in the regular season also. I really do.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's your Conn Smythe winner right there, William Nylander. So last year we voted on a Panarin Award, but because there's
not really voted, because there was only one candidate.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It was Bunting, but like there isn't really any candidates this year, so we just skipped that one.
Yeah,
I think because nobody's 26 in the fucking Calder race. So team MVPs, I have Austin Matthews because he's going to be the MVP of the league. So how can
yeah. I was torn between Suzuki and Caulfield. I'm going to lean Caulfield. I liked Marty St. Louis' quote from the other night. He said that he's like, the Canadians are going to be a better team this year because not because Cole Caulfield's going to be a better goal scorer, but because he's going to be a better hockey player. And I think.
So can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah.
How long does Cole Caulfield's drought coming out of the beginning of the regular season have to be before you all start panicking?
I don't think it's going to be like last year. And I think last year was an anomaly with just how fucking horrific we were. And like the injuries and like right off the bat, like it was just like we started on the basement and we never fucking got anywhere. I think even though the expectations are obviously that we're not going to be very good this year, kind of you can like how we play. Like you can play good and lose games, and that's fine. And that's kind of how the Canadians need to take this rebuild. Is like, let's establish how we want to play our hockey. Let's, learn this system, Marty St. Louis, system. And then the results will come after that. But we need to learn how to play and be good at what we do first. So I think as long as that's the core, I think Cole Caulfield is going to play well and score a lot of goals. We saw it in the 20-odd games that Marty St. Louis coached last year. He was on pace for like 50, if that was an 82 under Marty St. Louis. So I think you're not going to see that big drought off the start. I'm obviously not going to sit here and be like, Caulfield's going to score 60. Like, I'm not an idiot. We don't have the team for that yet. I think in the future, if we, get a couple more he needs one more winger. I don't know if Slafkovsky is going to be the guy, or if they need to find someone else a little more just to match up with him and Suzuki, right? I just don't know if Slafkovsky's skill set is going to be exactly for that. I think he's still going to be a fine player, and we'll get to that later. But I think, you're not going to see that big drought. I don't think. I think he'll have like a normal goal scoring season. You know what I mean?
So what are you predicting? 30?
I think 30. If he stays healthy for 82 games, and Nick Suzuki stays healthy for 82 games, I think 30 to 35 is probably pretty reasonable. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if he went on a bit of a tear and ended up closer to 40.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't. That wouldn't surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if he ended up somewhere close to 15. To be completely honest with you, just because. Oh, I'm gonna say you guys suck. You guys are terrible. So
yeah. So that's it. I think as long as he plays good hockey, he will score goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got him as team MVP.
All Stars, you had him and Suzuki, which I think you could.
I think don't really think right now we have any other options, so it'll be the two of them.
So I had Matthews and obviously Mitch Marner's like all NHL right winger. He's probably either one or two best right wingers in the National Hockey League.
I mean, I would just say wingers outright, left or right.
Yeah, that's fair. And then I have Morgan Riley, who has not been didn't play his best hockey last year, and sometimes is a little suspect defensively. And I think he's really going to turn that around, and I think he's going to be, at least to the halfway point of the season, one of the better defensemen in the NHL.
Yeah, no, he's always like, to me, he's like a 7.5 defenseman, you know what I mean? Like, he's never fucking terrible, but he's never like superstar. He's just steady.
Yes, like a steady, like 86, 87 overall on Chell.
Like, exactly. Like, he's never your fucking 91, 92 overall guy, but he's like, you just can't go wrong with
He's never an 82 or an 83.
Exactly.
He's like an 86, 87. Yeah, no, for sure. I know exactly what you mean.
So I think if he can build on that a little bit this year and kind of, you know, boost himself to that like 90, 91, then like, yeah, he could definitely be an all-star.
Yeah, so that's what I have there. Most excited to see for me is Matt Murray.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I want to see him succeed so bad because that basically kind of our whole season rests upon that. So kind of want him to succeed. Yeah, I'm excited to see him try to succeed at least.
Yeah.
Bounce back year, Matt Murray as well.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, most excited to see in Montreal.
I'm super excited to see Caden Gooley. I honestly kind of forgot about him on our last preseason episode. We were talking about the young defenseman. And he's kind of a young... And I know this is like a super easy comparison to make because he's from BC and like Canadian and like his style of play, but Shea Weber. It's I know it's like obvious, but like he's fucking massive. He throws big hits, runs your power play. The big difference though is he can fucking move. Like his skating is fucking great. And Jake Allen was saying after one of our preseason games, he's like he belongs. Like I'm not playing with a rookie when I was out there. Like that's a kid who belongs in the league. So I'm super excited to see how that translates. And like I said last week, there's a bunch of competition, bunch of open spots on defense. I think he, by the end of the season, will be a nailed-on fucking Montreal Canadian.
Well, I think he has a better chance than Slafkovsky. Anyway,
so you mentioned Matt Murray for having a bounce-back year.
Yeah, because we can all agree. Sucked last year. Chirped the hell out of him all year. And the year before. Both years. Signed a ridiculous deal in Ottawa. Should have never signed Ottawa.
You can't blame him for fucking taking the bag. Like if someone wants to pay a dog shit
never
player,
signed that contract. That's insane. We got him for half the price. Hopefully it turns out because Kyle Dubas's job depends on it, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, any combination of him and Samsonov better be good. They better be freaking good. Like, damn it, man. And so yeah, I'm hoping he's gonna have a bounce back year. That's who I have for my bounce back year. You have?
So for the second year in a row, I've got Brendan Gallagher, and again there's the same kind of addition to it is if he stays healthy. Because he's been just beat up the last couple seasons, just can't buy a break.
His whole career.
Honestly, but that's the way he plays, though, right? So it's kind of shitty because, you know, you don't want to tell him, like, no, don't be Brendan Gallagher. Because Brendan Gallagher's fucking great. He's a 30-goal scorer. He's one of the fucking best, like, annoying but also effective players in the league. There was a point where he was one of the best. He was one of like the top 5 or 6 5-on-5 goal scorers, like statistically in the league. But yeah, his injuries have sucked for him recently. But coming into the season, he has a clean bill of health minus a broken nose, which he got in preseason, which is, you know, that's not terrible. But yeah, like I just really hope he can get back to being healthy and getting back to that, you know, 25, 30 goal scoring. He's being effective on the ice. That would be ideal for us. That would really, really help our offense move along.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't see. I don't know. I think at some point all of these injuries are going to catch up to him, though, and I don't think that he's able to be. I don't think he's able to be this Brandon Gallagher that you know and love. Like that Brandon Gallagher's like that's a couple years ago now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the 25-30s goal scorer is a lot, but that's it. If you can put up 20 and be Brandon Gallagher, like that's great. Like that's a phenomenal guy to have in your middle six and in your room too. Just, you know, having him in the team is good.
Yeah. Moving on to breakout players. So these are guys that are kind of we think are flying under the radar right now?
Well, not because we have one for under the radar. So the breakout guy is someone like
Oh, yeah.
not that they're going to be like a superstar, but they're going to they're going to kind of make their mark in the league this year. They're going to,
Have an impact.
Yeah. But again,
Yeah.
they don't have to be superstars.
So we've mentioned this guy before several times. We once watched him play in an Ontario Hockey League game. Montreal Canadiens free agent signing, I learned today, was not a draft pick.
Nope.
His name is?
Arbor Xhekaj. I think I've mentioned him last week. He's going to fucking make the team. As an undrafted 21-year-old, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's going to make a mark, definitely on the team. I don't say in the whole league, but Elliot Friedman was saying, I think it was a couple days ago or like late last week, that a bunch of teams were scouting him before the Habs signed him, and were kind of pissed that they didn't sign him, and now he's on the verge of making the Habs, and I think he's a very rare breed of player in the modern age. Because he's a very old school defenseman. Like I made the comparison to Ben Sherratt, like last week in terms of his physicality and kind of he's a bit of a fucking asshole on the ice. But he also kind of has that modern edge that he can skate, he can move the puck, he can run your power play. Like I think this is going to be it's kind of the perfect storm for him to have a breakout year with the Habs defense situation.
Yeah.
And then you went with Nick Robertson.
Second year in a row.
Yep.
Going with Nick Robertson.
And that's the thing is, did he not break his leg last year?
Yeah, it's the poor kid. He just can't catch a break. He's one of those guys. And maybe it's kind of a thing, like a sign of things to come in his career, is that he's just an injury-prone guy. But like he just can't seem to catch a break. He's a smaller guy, wicked wrist shot, man. Like Oh my god, watching the couple goals that he scored in our last game, the preseason game there against Ottawa.
Man. It's like a heavy wrist shot too. You know what I mean?
For a small guy, right? Like, oh my god. Yeah. Like, you expect a shot like that to come from Austin Matthews because he's 6'3", 220, and just built like a monster. Nick Robertson,
like when I think like Cole Caulfield's shot, like it's not a heavy shot. It's like it's just quick and it's accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
But like Robertson's, it's got some fucking heft on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's heavy. You're right. That's a great way to describe. Like if you get hit with that thing, it's gonna hurt.
Like the exaggeration I think of is like, if that like hits the goalie, they're like moving back a little bit in the net. You know what I mean? Yeah,
like they feel it.
Like there's some fucking meat on that.
So I don't know. I think a breakout year for him would be 20-25 goals. I think that would be a reasonable breakout year for him.
I think it'd be 20-25 games, but just the with his injury record, he's just not been in the lineup enough.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too for him is he's an offensive minded player. So I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of room for him on the roster, because those top six, like unless he's going to fill out that spot with Nylander and Tavares, there's not a whole lot of room, and there's not a whole lot of room for him on the bottom six either, because those are all defensive minded players, right? Like that's not where he fits in. That's not what his skill set is what the third and fourth lines are there for. So I don't really know. I kind of see what you're saying. I'm just hoping for the best with him because he's such a good offensive talent. He is very talented.
Absolutely. Can't take that away from him.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, I'm just hoping for him to have a breakout year. He actually has the next best odds after Juraj Slafkovsky and Shane Wright of winning the Calder, which I thought was interesting.
Can we put him in for the Panarin? Because isn't he like 22?
I mean, if you want.
No, but
he's like Panarin was like 26, man.
I know.
Anyway, under the radar player, you have Christian Dvorak, which I thought was interesting because he was absolutely invisible for any games that he actually played last year without being hurt.
Yeah. So the big thing with him last year is he missed off 3/4 of the season with injuries. Just shit luck.
He was trash though, even in the games that he played.
So the back end of the season when he got healthy and was under Marty St. Louis, he was actually like, based on advanced analytics, our best player, which is crazy. I didn't know that at first, but he won fucking, he's always been other than last year, has been like a top 3 or 4 guy in face-off percentage wins. And I think this year he's going to go under the radar just if he stays healthy and kind of plays at that same level that he was those last 20 games. He'll be great insulation for guys like Kirby Dach and Nick Suzuki. So that, because he can take kind of bigger matchup if he needs to, but also, kind of take a lesser role in games where Suzuki and Dach aren't going to have like the big matchups like Matthews or McDavid. So yeah, I think he'll just go under the radar. He's just having just a good season, just being a guy that we can lean on, to kind of step up or down if he needs to, and just kind of be consistently good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So under the radar player, Leafs legend, a man we traded Mason Marchment for at one point, Dennis Malgin. Guy may not even play game. Like, that's the thing about picking these ones, Gitano, is it was so difficult because you have no idea who's gonna play and where. Like, you just with the Leafs right now, it's there's a lot of jobs to be won still. You know what I mean? It's just Malgin and Robertson have been real big standouts in this preseason so far. Those have been the standouts. Those two guys specifically. You could tell they want a spot on this team. Dennis Malgin has unreal chemistry with William Nylander, which I thought was very, very interesting.
That's like a weird combination.
Yeah. But like, see what I kind of did here with these last two picks, breakout and under the radar, is only one of these guys is going to succeed in this. Only one of them, Malgin or Robertson. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So there's a 50% chance that I'm going to be right, or 100% chance I'm going to be right on one of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You're going to be right with one of them. You just don't know which one.
Exactly, because if one succeeds in the other, that means the other one probably isn't going to succeed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at there.
All right, now let's have some fun, Abe, because now we got hot takes.
Okay, so yours isn't that hot. Well, it is a little bit hot, and I will argue it just very slightly here. And the only reason that I want to argue it is because this is a team that... What just happened? There we go. This is a team that's... Yeah. This is a team that still has Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Now they have Jack Campbell, who's an upgrade in net. They have Darnell Nurse, who's a reasonable goaltender. And they made a deep playoff run last year. They also have Evander Kane, who, as much as we hate him, he scores goals in the National Hockey League. As much as he's an asshole and a menace to society, he still scores a lot of goals. That's what he's good at. He's blown all the money that he's gotten for scoring all of those goals on a bunch of random shit, and he doesn't have any anymore, but he still scored the goals.
Yeah, so my hot take is the Oilers don't make the playoffs, and I just... They're not a team. They're a series of individuals. And I don't think they've done anything, honestly, over the last 5 years to get any better other than drafting McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, those are the only improvements they've made.
Well, I think Jack Campbell's an improvement on Mike Smith. I think we can agree on that.
Yes, but like, I think you could have got nearly any goalie in the league and they would have been an improvement on Mike Smith, because Mike Smith was dog shit. And they fucking drove him into the ground. He shouldn't have played on their team for the last 5 years. For what they want to be achieving, Mike Smith was nowhere near that level.
No, and everybody knows it.
Exactly. And they fucking waited 5-6 years to replace him. Like, you just can't be doing that. Like, it's just...
Well, it's interesting. Friedman mentioned that the Leafs have actually factored Connor McDavid into their future cap plans.
Unless the salary cap goes up like 20 million in the next 2 years, like, I just don't think, and without trading one of the other big four, I don't think there's a way you add Connor McDavid to that and it works out financially. This isn't even just like an I hate the Leafs thing. This is just like a numbers thing. I just don't think there's a way without trading one of the big four, which would probably be Tavares, if we're being real.
Let's just say magically Tavares goes. Magically, somehow they find a way to get rid of that deal.
Yeah, okay, so magically Tavares is off your book. He just gets abducted by aliens. We never see him again. 11 mil off your books. Like, yeah, you financially could make it work, but also what do you have to give up to get him?
Nothing, it's free agency.
Oh, if we're going free agency? I mean, like I could, if in that case, if you can get rid of Tavares, I could see it happening. The salary cap, it would depend on how much the cap goes up, because this also would factor in Matthews' next extension, and the MLSE is basically gonna have to give him a blank check and be like, whatever number keeps you in Toronto, you get. Right?
Yeah, we've established that before, yeah.
So I think it just depends on how much the cap goes up by the time McDavid hits free agency, if he even hits free agency. Because I still don't think he's gonna. I think he'll leave Edmonton, whether it's a trade or free agency. I can't see him staying there anymore.
They went to the third round last year, and he has a lot of power in making decisions there.
They fluked their way to the third round because
but he has a lot of power in making decisions there, and they don't think of it as a fluke, dude. That's the biggest issue that we've seen. But hold on, and we're talking about McDavid too. We're not talking about just the general manager here. The biggest issue that we've seen, especially out of Edmonton, is not recognizing that it was a fluke, and I think McDavid is guilty here too.
100%.
I don't think that he sees an issue at this point in time. I seriously don't. You have
to me, that's an issue.
Some level. Exactly, but he doesn't see an issue, so why would he leave?
I think if you're Connor McDavid, you are the best hockey player on the planet.
Yes.
No questions asked.
Yes.
And you're looking at this team, and I think this year will be a deciding year, especially because they went to the third round last year. If they don't make the playoffs, like I think they will, or like I think they won't, then there will be serious questions asked of like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I guess up till now they've been making, like, I'm going to put in quotations, progress.
So who do you have kicking them out there then? Just quickly, curious. Who do you have finishing ahead of them in their division? Seriously, I just want to know.
Let me pull their division up quick.
I can tell it to you right now. It's Vegas, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, LA, San Jose, and Anaheim. So I got Calgary finishing at the top there.
Yeah.
I have, honestly, in my list, I probably still have Edmonton at 2 just because of the star power they have. Number 3, see, it's tough because Vegas sucks. Like, Vegas isn't that good, but I'm going to put them at 3 because that's a weak division. Number 4.
But it's also not 4 per division.
So it's 3 per division and then a wild card, right?
So I'm looking at the Central division. I think the Central is going to take both wild cards. I think the Central is actually pretty. It's like it's pretty stacked, and then there's Chicago and Arizona. You know, like the rest of the division's pretty fucking good.
So let's see 3. Let's hear 3 teams.
So three out of the Pacific.
Out of the Pacific that are going to be better than Edmonton.
I think Calgary will be better than them. They're going to win that division.
That I agree with.
I think Anaheim's got a good young team. I think they can make a step up. Maybe they'll finish 3rd, and then
you have Vegas at 2. Because that's outrageous. They have 2 rookies in net. That's outrageous.
No, I don't think Vegas will be good either. I think they'll be dog shit, especially like the Pacioretty's out for the year or most of the year. So that's a big L for them.
So who else? LA? No. San Jose? Not a chance.
Honestly, Vancouver.
Vancouver.
I think Vancouver is a lot. The project is a lot in a better spot than Edmonton's.
Wow, that's a hot take.
100%. 100%.
I would disagree with that.
The project is not the team itself. I think the project's in a way better position, and I think the Oilers are doing nothing to progress their project at all.
What has Vancouver done?
I think they've got good young players. They locked down JT Miller. They still have fucking Horvat. They've got Pettersson. They've got Quinn Hughes. Is it Quinn?
Yeah.
Okay. There's like fucking 6 of them in the league now. Hughes. I lose track of them.
Well, there's 2 Jack Hughes. There's a Luke Hughes. There's a Quinn Hughes, and I think that's it.
Okay. Well, that's 3 too many. Yeah. I just don't think the Oilers are good. I think they're fucking dog shit, and I think this will be the year that the bubble bursts.
Okay, well, I will be interested to see that, and I had to take that to like, because I agree with you that I don't think they're a good, well put together team, but I also don't think anybody else in their division is, other than maybe Calgary. Like, to be completely honest with you, that's the only reason I went there, is because everybody else in that division is god awful too. Like bottom 10 teams in the NHL, right? Like
let's be real. How many of these teams are finishing bottom 10?
So I'm gonna go Anaheim, LA, and like all three California teams are finishing bottom 10 in the NHL. That's my guess. Yeah. I think Vegas is very, very close too, like between 15 and 20, and I don't think they're a playoff team.
No.
Anyway.
Seattle's a playoff team?
No, not yet. Not even close. They have too young, way too young, and not good enough goaltending to be able to pull a Shesterkin. You know what I mean? Where you just carry a young, skilled team to the playoffs. Not going to happen. So let's move on to my hot take, because I think this one's gonna take on some discussion. So originally what I had here was Juraj Slafkovsky doesn't finish top 10 in Calder voting. And then I kind of came to the conclusion that that's not very hot of a take.
Yeah, because
he's not even in the top. Like, he's tied for 10th in odds.
Well, and my point to you when I saw that was that there's a chance he doesn't play in the NHL this year, which is totally fine for an 18-year-old. You don't have, especially in the state of the Habs project right now, the rebuild, we don't have to rush him in.
Okay, so let me go here. This is my hot take. Yeah. Let me go, please.
Yeah. No, we just want to clear up we get that cleared up so we can set you up for this.
Kent Hughes has already expressed disappointment and underwhelmment, you could say, from Juraj Slafkovsky in this preseason so far.
Okay. Basically,
what that did for me is that confirmed
No. We're stopping on the Kent Hughes comment, because everyone loves that fucking tidbit, but they don't they don't get the rest of it.
Okay, give me the rest of it.
Or he basically says it's preseason. He's young. We kind of expect more from him, but it's fine because he's 18, and we're not expecting to win right away. Like, you can take time. We're not going to rush things. Like, that's totally fine. We're talking
about a first overall pick, Gitano.
Okay, but we're talking about an 18-year-old.
When there was a chance to have Shane Wright, who's probably who has done a lot more than an underwhelm so far in this preseason. I know it's just preseason. I get that, but let me finish here. Juraj Slafkovsky. The actual hot take here is that I don't think that kid ever plays more than 100 National Hockey League games. I seriously
bet money on it.
Do I want to bet on it?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to bet on it, because Montreal management is retarded, and they will continue to play him even if he should not be playing. So that's why I'm not going to bet on it.
I think that,
dropping the R word. Sorry for offending anybody, but it had to be said.
I think that is an entirely ludicrous thing to say. I think that's just fucking ridiculous.
No, and I think you're in denial, because you know they should have taken Shane Wright. You goddamn well know they should have taken Shane Wright, and they didn't. And you're trying to come up with every excuse in the book as to why they didn't, and none of them make any sense.
I have no. Look, I am not a scout. I'm not a member of the Montreal Canadiens organization, so I don't know why they did what they did. That's
a member, the member of the of the Montreal Canadiens organization just said he's disappointed in this kid already. He's
after two fucking games. You're gonna judge an 18-year-old kid's career for 2 preseason games?
You can definitely judge those games and say,
"Oh my god,
absolutely you can."
Okay, he's
playing playing against NHL competition, and he sucked.
Okay, this is also his first time playing with these guys, right? Like, he's not played with this team before. You have to give him time to fucking. That's why, like, the rookie tournament, couple weeks ago, when you watch it, it's not good hockey, because you're looking at teams full of guys who've never played together, right? Like, this is the same thing. You have this kid who has not played with, Caulfield, Suzuki, any of the guys who he was with, so he's learning on the fly.
All right, so now let me just look at it from an eye test perspective here. Let me just talk about it from an eye test perspective here, because I did watch the game Montreal versus Toronto. Gitano, he was awful. Like, he was nowhere close to being an NHL player. Like, nowhere even close. He's so raw and underdeveloped, and you don't even know what he is.
That's fine for an 18-year-old, Dave.
No, it isn't. Not a guy you take first overall when there were options to find more refined, developed, and skilled players that you could have taken instead.
I think you're so worried about the floor right now that you're not looking at the ceiling. Because the floor is going to get better.
What's the ceiling? Where are you getting the ceiling from? Seriously, tell me what you have seen, what you have heard, what stats you have seen.
Okay,
show you there's a higher ceiling than I'm letting on right now.
Okay, so dominant at the Olympics.
Who is he playing at the Olympics?
He was playing
a single player other than him that was playing in that tournament.
Okay, he dominated one. As a what, 17-year-old, dominated a tournament with men. Okay, and again, this, like, you seem to think that I'm the only person who likes him here. The Bob McKenzie thing, where he said it was out of 9 scouts, it was 5 Slafkovsky, 4 Wright. Like, these are the top scouts in the fucking world, in the league, who all had him this highly rated. Like, this isn't just like a Montreal fans are delusional thing. Like, this is, nobody knew who was going to get picked first overall because it was that close. So, like, this isn't a delusion thing, Ave. Like, this isn't, we picked some fucking random ass guy out of the middle and buttfuck nowhere. Like,
actually, you kind of did.
But, like, we didn't, though. Like, going into the draft, everyone knew. It was Wright or Slafkovsky, and nobody knew who it would be because nobody could separate the two of them. It was that close between them. So, like, are you saying that, all, the scouts in the NHL had no, like, they fucked up, every single one of them who, like, had him that highly rated? Like, they're all fucking idiots? Like, it's just a mass delusion?
I do believe that a lot of scouts in the league were like children in a candy store when they saw this kid put up points against absolute pylons at 2 separate tournaments. Like, just ridiculous. Because, bottom line for me is I don't think that there is enough of a body of work from this kid to say that he has any sort of ceiling at all. Back when they picked him, what I said. I said that was the worst. That this might go down as one of the worst decisions in Montreal Canadiens history. I truly believe that. I truly believe, like, maybe even worse than what they did to Waugh. Seriously. Like, that's seriously where I'm at with this. That's seriously where I'm at with this kid. I think he stinks. I think he sucks. I don't think he's going to play 50 games in the National Hockey League, to be completely honest with you.
Then put your money where your mouth is. Bet me. I'll put $100 on it.
No, because you have a bunch of idiots in your front office that are going to make him play because you took him first overall and he asked to.
You're literally not paying attention to what Kent Hughes just said, which is we're not going to make him play if he's not ready. And it's totally fine if he's not ready.
You don't think at some point they're going to make sure that this guy's playing games in a Montreal Canadiens uniform, even if he still sucks?
No,
seriously.
I think Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton are not fucking morons, and I think they understand, like, that this is a process. We're not trying to win the Stanley Cup this year or next year or realistically not even the year after that. Okay, so this is let's just call it those 3 years. Let's just look at those 3 years. That's plenty of time for him to, if he needs to play a year in the AHL to get used to playing in North America. It's a big change as an 18-year-old coming across. It is. You can fucking make that face.
I'd like to remind our listeners that we're talking about a man who was picked first overall over Shane Wright. Continue.
Okay. So that's the thing. That's totally fine. If he plays a year in the AHL to develop, to, get used to it, that's fine. If he gets a couple games up when we get the chance, absolutely great. If he makes the team, if he has a good rest of the preseason and Marty St. Louis and management think that there's a spot for him on the roster, great. And if it doesn't work out and you have to send him down for a little bit, that's fine, because he's fucking 18. And I don't expect an 18-year-old, other than like the super fucking generational talents, like the Matthews, McDavid, Crosby, like, like the once every 10 years fucking players. Like these 18-year-olds, look at Lafreniere. Look at Quinton Byfield. These kids were picked 1 and 2, sucked their first year and a half. And then they got their feet under them, and now you're seeing them playing better. Like, I expect a similar trajectory for Slafkovsky. And I think that's totally fine for a teenager to not be ready for the NHL.
I just don't see it. I don't see any sort of ceiling. I don't see the things that we saw from Lafreniere and Junior. I don't see the things that we saw from Byfield and Junior even, man. I don't see any of those things. I think this kid probably slots in behind those guys when it comes to skill level. And I think that's saying something. I really do.
Well,
I don't think Shane Wright does.
Aren't they both centers? Or one of them's a center? Byfield,
I'm just
maybe?
talking pure hockey skill. I'm just talking pure hockey skill right now.
But I also don't think either of them are the same style of player that he is. They're more finesse based, where he's a bigger body. He's, I don't want to say power forward because that's not the right term for it. But okay, so I'm not making comparison to him, but just, you know, the way like Yager was a big motherfucker who used his body. No. I'm not making the comparison. I'm not making the direct comparison, Ave. Listen to me. I'm struggling to think of a more modern comparable. Just in the
Yager?
In the way that they play hockey, yes. Not skill wise, but just the way they play hockey. And that he's a big guy who's going to use his body to create space to set up or score goals.
I can't believe
I'm not saying skill level. That's not what I said. Use your ears for once, please. But just in the, like, Lafreniere and Byfield that's not how they create their offense. They use it, they're, you know, smaller guys, more speed, more finesse. Whereas Slafkovsky's a bigger guy, he's going to use his body and his size more to create. You know what I mean?
Dude, Quinton Byfield's 6'5", 220.
Is he really?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take back the Byfield part. But keep the Lafreniere part is still absolutely true though, because Lafreniere is not 6'5", fucking 250. Whatever. Yeah.
No, he is a more skill guy. Yes, I will give you that.
Honestly, I'm not overly familiar with Byfield because he's done nothing in the NHL, and that's fine because
nothing in the NHL.
And
no, you're right.
That's fine because he's what, 19. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the fans and the league are so they just want superstars straight out of junior, and that's not a thing that happens very often. They want these kids to get drafted, you know, fucking first, second, third overall, and just come into the league and be 100-point, fucking 50-goal superstars, and it's just not realistic to expect that. I think, you know, and this isn't just the Habs. This is, you know, however many scouts who, and their whole scouting departments who had him at first overall would have taken him first overall if they had that pick. All of these people, there's a ceiling there, Abe. Like, there's no way that many people are that stupid. But, like, unless there's like some mass delusion about it, I don't see how there's not a ceiling there. And I know that you don't want to see a ceiling because you're a Leafs fan, in the same way I don't want to see the Leafs prospects and players succeed because I'm a Habs fan. I think just like if you take that step back and look at how close the draft was, like there's no way there's not a ceiling there.
Yeah, but you just don't know what it is, and you're just assuming and you're hoping. And I'm going.
But that's how drafting teenagers works, Abe. You have no idea what you're going to get from anyone.
No, but you can make judgment calls off of what you've seen.
Exactly. And so the Habs and however many other teams that would have taken him first overall made that judgment call.
Bottom line, my hot take is Juraj Slafkovsky doesn't play 100 games in the National Hockey League in his career.
Yeah, but you don't have the balls to put your money where your mouth is.
No, because you have an idiot front office.
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
We got rid of the idiot front office. Now we're fine. Right, you know, no, dead ass. If Bergevin was in charge, I'd back that point 100%. That we would play him for the sake of playing him, because Bergevin just loved big motherfuckers that couldn't play hockey.
Yeah,
but we're past that.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're past that.
See. Anyway, we are now coming up on the hour mark here on this episode, so.
Oops.
We're probably going to cut her off now, and we'll get to you. We're not going to do next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. Is that what we said?
Yes. So next week's Thanksgiving will be off, but we'll be back after that.
we'll be back right after that. And yeah, that'll be episode 66. And can't wait until then so we can argue a little bit more.
66.
I called it 65 at the front of the episode, so sorry.
Fuck it.
66. You told me 65.
No, I said this was no, fuck it. Anyways, have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.